over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall coast to coast in the biggest way possible, right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty. Go for the two. Joe Lisi joins me momentarily here. Very, very busy show. We have a lot to do. NFL owners meetings down in Orlando. NCAA Tournament Sweet 16 starting later this week. We have NBA tonight. We have plenty to discuss. That is for sure. We start, as always, with the birthday roll call. Let's go. Jamison Williams, 23 today. Andrei Svechnikov at 24. Justice Winslow at 28. We have Ryan Arcidiacono at 30 today. Brady Shea at 30. Rob Refsnyder, 33. Kyle Van Noy, 33. Von Miller, 35. Rashad Jennings, 39. Nate Keating, 42. Michael Pekka at the big 5-0. Luke Richardson, 55. Jose Vizcaíno at 56. Wesley Walls, 58. Ulf Samuelson, 60. Kevin Seitzer, 62. John Stockton, 62. And Marcus Allen in at 64. A Hall of Fame birthday roll call there at the end on a Tuesday on C2C. All right, so we will kick things off today. Like we said, NFL owners meetings going on down in Orlando. A lot to go through from today, that's for sure. Owners voted on a lot of new things. A lot of coaches were talking. We're going to recap all of it for you here on C2C. Lots of rule changes that we'll have to discuss. New hybrid kickoff rule. So if you've been watching the XFL, I guess, over the last couple of years, that's kind of what the kickoff rule is going to go to. Everybody's going to be on one side of the 50. Nobody can move till the guy touches the ball. They expect this to get more kickoffs going. Probably isn't going to change much all in all. Approve the eliminating of the hip drop tackle. I know that was yesterday, but Joe's so fired up about it that we have to bring that back for a second time today. We do want to welcome in all of our radio affiliates, Ferrall Coast to Coast, here on a Tuesday. Carver High for Scotty. Joe Lisi joins me momentarily here. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159, Sports Byline, the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio in sunny Southern California. Great to have everybody with us here today. They also, at the meetings today, moved the trade deadline back a week. So now week 9 is when the trade deadline will be. NFL is going to play on Christmas Day. They told you they would never play on like a Wednesday, right? Well, that changes. Christmas is on a Wednesday this year, but the NFL, they never could go away. So we're going to play on Wednesday on Christmas Day, doubleheader. No, when is enough? But we love it. It's the NFL. We'll play every day of the week. Eagles are going to open the season in Brazil against the Packers or the Browns. That game. Also, the streaming is back. Streaming on Peacock for that one. Cowboys and Dak Prescott have a mutual understanding of his contract situation. Translation, they're not giving him a new contract. That's what they are not giving him a new contract. That is the contract situation that he's going to have, and he's potentially going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Gabe Morency is with us, of course, every day in hour number 1, Sports Rage Late Night here on the Grid. I told you we've got coaches from Orlando, too. Jim Harbaugh talking up J.J. McCarthy some more today. We have got Sean Payton talking about the Broncos' interest in quarterbacks at the draft. Mike Tomlin on Justin Fields, his new acquisition. Robert Saleh on if the Jets have to make the playoffs this year. I would hope so. Mike McDaniel not upset that Bill Belichick isn't hanging around the AFC East anymore. Is anybody? So we'll have all of that as well. Hour 2, Sweet 16, Thursday and Friday night, of course, is when it gets going again. We will go through all of the games. We'll get Joe's thoughts for the first time here on Coast to Coast as well. Of course, 4 games Thursday night, 4 games Friday night. Bama and UNC on Thursday. We'll discuss San Diego State and UConn. We've got some numbers on UConn against the spread. The last couple years in these tournament games, very, very tough to go against the Huskies. And that's what we're going to try to do again here this weekend, especially with Illinois there in that East Regional in Boston. So we'll do all that. We have NIT tonight as well. 2 games, Georgia, Ohio State, and Cincinnati against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That's right, the big kid Avios in Indiana State. They are in action. Coach James Young joins us every day on the Lion's Share. In hour number 2, we will talk to Coach. Davis Maddock is with us every day on Coast to Coast as well. They're in hour number 2. Final hour. Baseball begins on Thursday. That is right, opening day. But we still have this Ohtani stuff hanging over. Of course, as we were kind of at the end of Coast to Coast yesterday, we had Ohtani do the big, wasn't a press conference, it was reading a statement through the interpreter where he denied all wrongdoings. I did absolutely nothing wrong. I know nothing about anything that has happened here. As much as we all would like to believe that, I'm not in this camp of conspiracy theorists who think that Ohtani was betting on games. I don't believe that for a second, but he was involved somehow in helping this guy pay it off. And I know he's trying to backtrack from that. Still a lot of unanswered questions with Ohtani after him reading the statement yesterday there with the Dodgers. Like you said, we start the season, though, for real. We'll have some odds for the AL and the NL today on Coast to Coast. Rick Haro, our sports business and legal insider, he will be with us as well today on a Tuesday. Adam Kaplan, our SportsGrid NFL insider as well. He'll talk about some of the things we discussed before at the league meetings, including the rule changes, the kickoff, etc., etc., etc. We have NBA tonight as well. There's a few things from last night that we are going to have to discuss, though. Pacers, good with the win in Los Angeles. So they lose the Laker game on Sunday night, come back and beat the Clippers on Monday night. So a good win for Indiana out there. Knicks beat the Pistons 124-99. Dante DiVincenzo, 11 three-pointers for Dante last night. And Pistons head coach Monty Williams wasn't exactly thrilled. It didn't seem like. Monty's had a rough year, man. And that's the second time. Remember Monty got real mad when they handed the Knicks that game a month or two ago at the Garden? Then last night he wasn't too thrilled that they let DiVincenzo shoot 1,000 threes. You got to guard somebody, Monty. Get the team together. Guard some guys, and maybe that won't happen to you. Rockets beat the Blazers. They've won 9 in a row. They are a half game back of the Warriors for that final play-in spot in the Western Conference. Something to keep an eye on with the Warriors in action tonight, as we'll get to. Spurs beat the Suns last night with no Wembanyama. So that was a night off for the Suns, one that they gave away. And the Celtics as well. They had a 30-point lead against the Hawks last night in Atlanta. They lost 120-118. So a pathetic effort from Boston there. 4 games tonight. Golden State's in Miami. Lakers are in Milwaukee against the Bucks. And Giannis, OKC is in New Orleans. Dallas is in Sacramento against the Kings. Both of those teams on a back-to-back. We'll keep our eyes there. How about this Jonte Porter as well of the Raptors under investigation for prop betting irregularities? The bad news is for Jonte is nobody cares about him, and the NBA is going to make a heavy example out of Jonte for his stunt. Basically, with all the heavy betting on the under, plays 4 minutes in the game. My eye hurts, doesn't finish the game. That's not going to end very well for Jonte coming up here. We have a lot of hockey tonight as well. We'll go through the full slate. So Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Tuesday. Carver High for Scotty. We'll get Joe in the mix next. We're rocking with you on the grid right after this.
Going through this bracket, and I kind of lined up where I was in the futures market. I said, I have one more bullet left. Where do I go? And I played Tennessee.
$10,000 worth of Oakland gear has been sold to people with Louisville area codes. Like, this is going to sting people who are Wildcat fans because their arch rival gets to walk around and say, you lost to who?
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Betting in-game, there's a big difference, right? Like the computer changes the number so often. Like, I tried to get this in right now, but in reality, as I saw plus 165 in the arena, they're hitting the shot. And I'm getting this like a couple of seconds late. And even the sports book, like, technology can only like travel so fast.
Sports Rage Late Night only on SportsGrid.
go into the Pac-12 tournament, they win it, then they go into the NCAAs, and they put up a bucket load of points. They have looked fantastic. That's not the team that I saw in the regular season.
All those people that had all that extra time because of those COVID seasons is going to be gone, and you're not going to really have the 23, 24, 25-year-old basketball players running around anymore. You're not going to have it.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The brighter the lights, the bigger the stakes. Hunt or be hunted.
And we are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty. We'll get Joe in here in a moment. Before we do, we, of course, want to let you know, BetMGM, they're at it again, especially down in North Carolina. How about giving away free money? Are you kidding me? For new customers in North Carolina, which now has the light turned on? That's right. Place your first bet at the BetMGM Sportsbook through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app for at least $5. You'll receive $150 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. You got to download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account. Place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. Once you have placed a bet, you will receive $150 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Win or lose, use bonus code GRID. That is GRID, GRID. BetMGM giving away free money in North Carolina. All right, every Tuesday and Wednesday, you get the extended version of the very popular SportsGrid radio show, Carver and Lisi, that airs weeknights at 8 p.m. East. That is with myself and the encyclopedia of college football and NFL rules, the one, the only. Go for the two, Joe Lisi. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Carver. So at least we both got our wish, right? We have a revised kickoff right now. It's better than just getting rid of it completely like you want and killing the game of the NFL.
I didn't say that's what I
at least
wanted.
we have a little glimmer of hope.
Not what I said I wanted. What I said, Joe, was if you're going to keep changing the kickoff rule, just get rid of it. Because you're just waiting. Because this will last a year or two, and then they'll change it again. I'm kind of surprised,
is good.
Joe. We'll see about that. Now, I know everyone's excited about this because they used it in that garage league the last couple of years. So everybody thinks that this is going to work very well. And we're talking about the NFL owners' meetings, Orlando. They changed a couple rules today for this coming season. One of them was this hybrid kickoff rule, Joe. And I was saying to you last night that I basically needed like a big charts and graphs like binder of like 25 pages to try to explain to you what it is. I guess the easiest way to say it, Joe, is that if you had watched the XFL, it's basically they stole it from them, which is all the players are on one side of the 50. Nobody can run at the ball carrier until the ball gets touched. This allegedly has gotten more returns, maybe not as many big returns, Joe, but more returns as opposed to just, 7 out of 9 kickoffs in the game just going through the end zone and being a touchback. They want more returns. They also don't want anyone to get hurt, so they're going to try this now this year.
Well, this is at least better, and this is a good option because at least it still makes special teams a part of the game. You can't just completely get rid of the kickoff return at all, Carver. I mean, this can change momentum. It could change field position, and it's safer because guys don't have a 40-yard head running start going head first into somebody. So that's where it limits, obviously, injuries, and it still brings in the most exciting play potentially in the game in terms of the kickoff return. So I don't have a problem with it. If this is going to cut down injuries and allow special teams to be a part of the game, let's do it.
Now, the other side of the coin of that, Joe, is, of course, now the surprise onside kick is gone. Not that you saw that all too often, but the surprise onside kick is out. You now have to declare if you're doing an onside kick because then everybody's got to go line back up at the original spot. I did see, though, Joe, they're also going to let some extra guys be on that one side of the field now. You know how they had spaced it out to basically nobody could recover an onside kick anymore? They're going to go back to allowing the overflowed side, at least, so that maybe we can get some onside kicks back, even though you now have to tell everybody when you're doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy, Carver. There is no element of surprise anymore. It's like, put the chips out on the table and let's see what happens. Pretty soon, I told you, we're going to be flag football with the hip drop tackle being taken out. First of all, can we just call it what it is? It's a tackle, not the hip drop tackle. Like, if you honestly believe players are thinking about using
a specific tackle they're getting rid of.
But come on, Carver. I mean,
know
it's a reactionary sport. Yeah, I mean, really, half the people complaining never even played football at any level. The hip drop tackle, as they sit there behind their charts and graphs. Give me a break.
Well, look, I think the problem with this is obviously safety and injuries, which is what they care so much about.
Nobody's forcing these guys to play football. Nobody, okay? There's always an element of risk. That's why they're getting 7 figures.
I think all this is going to do, Joe, is this is going to now add another play in the game that we are going to spend several minutes on, potentially, maybe not every week, but at big moments, reviewing it 600 times. Is that a hip drop tackle? It's going to become the new, is that roughing the quarterback? Is that pass interference? Now it's just another play that we're going to add onto the pile that we're all going to sit around and stare at and say that games were changed because of it, Joe. That's precisely what it's going to be.
Right, and I know that. You have a player like Derrick Henry, 245 pounds, and you will also have a linebacker that's maybe 215 or a defensive back that's $185. How is he supposed to get down Derrick Henry? You want to tell me that? I'm saying, that's the way you do it. You have to use your body weight. You can't allow the guy to run clear into the open field. Now you're going to have defensive players thinking at every given moment they're going to get hurt. They're the ones exposed.
Yeah, they're the ones exposed.
The minute you start thinking about how to tackle is when injuries occur in the game of football. It's absolutely ridiculous.
They want more offense, Joe. Just
please.
Prevent
you know
them
what?
from
Just
tackling.
make it flag football. It's becoming a garbage league anyway. It's becoming garbage.
A couple of other things. And then after I talked to Gabe, Joe, I've got a bunch of the coaches from the AFC side at the breakfast yesterday that I want to give to you. They are now they moved the trade deadline back 1 week. So it used to be week 8. Now it is week 9. So I believe it's the first Tuesday in November. Election day is when the trade deadline is now in the NFL. I'm for having it as far back as possible, Joe, so that's good with me. The NFL will play again on Christmas Day this year, Joe. Of course, the Christmas Day ratings for the NFL have been very high the last couple of years. Here's the caveat this year, Joe. Christmas Day is on a Wednesday. And the NFL, who previously said we're not going to play on Wednesdays, Christmas, whatever, have clearly changed their minds because, as usual, the pig's at the trough, Joe. The money's very big. And Christmas Day, we're going to get teams out there on a Wednesday.
Yeah, and greed is good, right? That's the slogan that everybody loves. So if you could eat, why not stuff it down your throat with more manja, Goodell? That's all he cares about. 44 million, 50 million, 60 million. That's it. Stuff it in your face.
Yeah, that's what it is. The teams that play that day are going to play the Saturday before. So let's just wait. We'll play every day of the week. Let's just get every day of the week. Line it up. Give us NFL football every day, Joe, because we're getting closer and closer to that being a reality. And the Eagles will open the season in Brazil. We knew that already. I still can't believe it. I still can't believe we play all these games in all these different places. But either the Packers or the Browns will play them. And that also, Joe, back to the money conversation, will stream exclusively on Peacock, like that playoff game last year. So I hope you still got your Peacock subscription, Joe, for that Eagle Friday night opener in São Paulo, Brazil, because you're going to need it.
Yeah, I mean, what is that, a 3 p.m. kickoff start? Or what is it? In terms of Brazil, it's a unbelievable.
I think it's an hour. They're a couple hours. It's a bit of an hour. There'll probably be a 7 or 8 o'clock game. They'll kick that off late at night.
First
it's money,
week,
Joe. It's all right. More football for
we're
you.
Killing, more
standalone games for you, Joe. I know you get excited about these things. I'm going to give you some of the coaches later in this hour, including Jim Harbaugh, who's still just giving you everything he's got about J.J. McCarthy. All right, Ferrall Coast to Coast. We're back right after this.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the review that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
SDSU -7.5, and then Washington State will take on Drake in the 7-10. Wazoo a 1.5 favorite. So we got two close ones here in terms of the spread.
State was one of the top 30 teams in the net rankings, so I think that Drake might be a little motivated to prove that, hey, our conference should have had two teams in this tournament. Indiana State didn't make it, but will represent pretty well.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I was going through this bracket, and I kind of lined up where I was in the futures market. I said, I have one more bullet left. Where do I go? And I played Tennessee.
$10,000 worth of Oakland gear has been sold to people with Louisville area codes. Like, this is going to sting people who are Wildcat fans because their arch rival gets to walk around and say, you lost to who?
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Gabe Morency is with us every day here on C2C. Of course, Sports Rage late night, weeknights at 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid. Gabe, good to see you as always, my man. We have a lot to do today. NFL owners meetings in Orlando this week. Lots of rule changes. Me and Joe were just talking about this one, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. And that's this kickoff, the hybrid kickoff rule that they have now instituted, which is basically, Gabe, what the XFL has been doing for the last few years.
I'm actually really surprised that they passed it, and it passed with a 29-3 vote as well. So I want to give props to the three owners that voted against this, although I assume Mark Davis just voted against it out of spite, out of respect for his father. He used to vote against everything all the time. I don't really get it. I'm not a doctor, so Dr. Chow would be the one to talk about this, right? And the thing I don't get is how much safer is this really? So, like really, how many times do players get hurt because they ran all the way down the field? I know it sounds like, oh, we want to reduce the collisions. Players can you still shred your knee, bro. It's like a longer, run play now. It really doesn't change very much. Aesthetically, it's very strange. Now, coaches are going to have a nightmare and have to worry about this now in the entire offseason. How are we going to deal with this? But to put in context, in the XFL, you know how many kickoff returns there were for touchdowns last year, guys? With this format that they want excitement with? One. Right? Dude, you're running into a wall. There's no space now. Right? So you're not going anywhere. So I guess every once in a while somebody's going to get to the corner and pop one. But I just don't really get this. And I think that my bet is, and hopefully we're here in a couple of years to break it down, I say, Carver, that they're not going to like this after a couple of years, and eventually we'll just get to the point where the teams get the ball on the 25-yard line. Look at college right now. Right, fair catch, whatever, get it over with. They don't even want them to return it anymore. Just give me the ball on the 25 and let's just start the damn drive. I think that's the direction we're going. My biggest thing, this is, I'm not shocked they did this. Instead, I'm shocked. I'm kind of surprised it was as unanimous as it was. But what I really don't like, and this one's flying under the radar, is you can't do an onside kick anymore until the fourth quarter, and only if you're trailing. And you have to tell the other team. You have to report it.
Yeah,
so,
it takes away.
Just imagine this. Imagine this, Mike. The Saints don't beat the Colts in the Super Bowl. They started off the second half with an onside kick. They would not be allowed to do that now. The whole point of taking a chance is the element of surprise. There's just a lot of little things. We're going baseball here. The NFL doesn't need more rules, bro. Right? They're like government, man. Government passes 200,000 new bylaws and laws a year. They never kill laws though, Mike. You know what I'm saying? They just keep on adding more. We don't need to add more. You look at tennis. Tennis doesn't say, well, you know what, maybe we should give 3 points for this, or maybe this isn't out of bounds anymore. No. The ball landed in the line or out of the line. It went over the net or didn't go over the net. Now we don't know what a catch is. Now, well, you can't onside kick here and I can't. And I'd like to know, too, bro, we're going to see some coach that's going to tell us, guys, let's go for an onside kick here. Oh, sorry, coach, we're not allowed to do that. What? Yeah. Son of a bitch. It's just, what are we doing? Why are we adding things for the sake of adding things? And why did we need to take onside kicks out of the game, Mike? Was there some, pandemic and epidemic that we need to end this? This is out of control. What are we doing?
The funny part is, Gabe, is that the surprise ones were the only ones that actually convert anymore anyway, because they've nerfed the onside kick so much that
you can't even take off.
Nobody could get them anymore. The only ones that actually worked recently in the last 4 to 5 years are the ones that were out of the blue and a surprise. So that you're right. Having to tell the other team we're lining up for an onside kick.
That's like having to tell a team in baseball, I'm going to steal a base now, sir. I'm just reporting that I'm going to try to steal second now.
But
let's not give them any ideas, actually. Let's not give
It's another play they don't want anymore. It's just get rid of it. You don't want the play. Have them do 4th and 25 from the 30 or whatever it is that you want to do, and let that be the play. That'd be a hell of a lot more exciting than watching these onside kicks that don't matter anymore. Nobody ever gets. I'd rather see that. I know people don't want it. It's not traditional. Nothing is anymore. Do that. Give me 4th and 25.
College football, that's another thing, too, that they discussed, which I think that is actually reasonable, that one, right? And from what I understand, just for the record, they said instead of onside kicks, you get the ball and, on your own 40 or whatnot, your own 25, whatever they were going to debate. They couldn't come to an agreement. Whether, like the XFL was 4th and 15, right? I know Jerry Jones wanted 4th and 20, some other guys 4th and 18, 4th and 13, whatever, and it went on and on. It actually would have made more sense, and that would be fun, actually, right? Oh, man, got one play, but then you just get a pass interference penalty, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. This is how you just guys got the ball back. So, it's a lot like the college football playoffs, dude, and like everything. Why? We don't need this. Yeah. It was fine with 4. We don't like NCAA tournament now. Well, a lot of teams didn't get in. Dude, like 68's not enough? We're going to need 96 now, and then Team 97 complains. When does it stop?
Somebody say 107 today or 107. I'm like, what are we doing here? What?
Dude, the NCAA threw it out there 106. They were kicking the tires on 106.
Well, why? Why? What has to be changed about what we have? I don't understand. It's such a good
they'll
product.
do it.
It's such a
they
good.
Won't go right to that. But they're going to go, they'll bump it up. The next bump will probably be like 84. You know what I'm saying?
It's the same thing like the NFL said for you. We're not going to play on Wednesday.
The thought is, let's add another weekend to it. It's just another weekend. Yeah. Let's cash in.
Let's go in another. Let's go even deeper. We'll go further in. We'll line it up, with the Masters, and we'll play the Final Four the night of the Masters.
Do we really need to see Kennesaw State play, bro? No offense to Kennesaw. They just popped in my head.
They've got it all figured out. That's for sure.
It's too much.
One other thing I wanted to ask you about this, because you've obviously been very vocal about J.J. McCarthy and where he's going to go in this draft and things like that. I couldn't understand Harbaugh still running around and pumping him up the way he is. I get he coached him at Michigan, but he's in the NFL now, Gabe. I thought it was real strange how he just keeps pumping him up, but then I realized this is genius by Harbaugh. He's got the 5th pick. If he can get 4 quarterbacks in front of him, then he can pick the best player, non-quarterback in the draft. This is genius from Harbaugh.
And Harbaugh also doesn't want him on the Denver Broncos. Right. He's selling him hard. He's selling him hard. You better trade up to get him. The only thing I don't like about this is you're putting a lot of pressure on the kid, right? Yeah. You're hyping him up as like, oh, he's Joe Montana and Steve Young rolled into one here. He's the greatest thing ever. But, yeah, there's without a doubt. I do believe he believes this. You have to understand Harbaugh. Harbaugh's crazy, number one. But in that sort of, fun way, Harbaugh's own kids joke that he loves JJ more than them. Like, it's real, bro. No, it's real.
I know.
Like, dude, Cade McNamara was 12-1. Mike, you follow college football?
Yeah.
He beat Ohio State. It was the first time. They went 12-1 with Cade McNamara. I said, sorry, Cade. I'm going to go with JJ. What happened, right? I won a national championship. Like, he likes Harbaugh. Harbaugh coached Andrew Luck. He likes JJ more. He went on record. He said, JJ McCarthy is by far the best quarterback in Michigan Wolverine history. He believes that. Hard to argue it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like when you look at the body of work, well, all due respect, Tom Brady was great. Tom Brady was a backup when Michigan won the championship. Tom Brady was good. He was the MVP of the Orange Bowl against Alabama, but he wasn't like a 4-year starter where it was all about Tom Brady. And people remember we were all happy, and I hate to admit it, that we were happy when Brady was leaving because it was like, oh, finally it's Drew Henson time. Drew Henson. He was the one that was hyped up to be like the greatest quarterback of all time, literally and figuratively. He was a Michigan Wolverine. And it was like one of those John Elway, Andrew Luck, like this guy can't miss type of guys. And he was damn good. And your guy, George Steinbrenner, got to him, Carver. Listen, I'll give you $5 million cash right now. You sign with a Yankee organization. And he took the money.
He certainly did.
And he couldn't. I think that movie, Trouble with the Curves, about him, like kind of loosely, actually.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. Couldn't hit. Ended up going back to the NFL years later in a supplemental draft with the Texans. Wasn't quite as good, but I know we're up against it. I got a bunch of picks for you tonight.
Give me something for. I know there's a lot of hockey tonight, Gabe. You got to have something with the hockey.
Yeah, some important hockey games tonight. The NHL, unlike the NBA on a nightly basis, actually brings it. Florida Panthers and the Bruins. I know the Bruins head coach, Montgomery, just called them out and said, we're not playoff ready. And this is rare that the Bruins need a call out. Even though they're getting called out, I can't get in front of this Panther team at this short price at minus 135. Give me the Panthers. I don't like laying this type of wood on the road, Mike, but a win is a win. And you know this, poor Scott, but the Penguins suck, bro. Right? Yeah. The Penguins are like at rock bottom right now. The Canes aren't losing this game tonight. Give me the Canes. Dude, the Washington Capitals, one of the hottest teams in the NHL right now. They're playing themselves into the playoffs. Ovi wants more. And the Red Wings are going in a different direction, man. These are two teams going in different directions. Give me the Washington Capitals tonight, minus 125. Like the Oilers and Jets to go under 6 tonight in a playoff-style game. And how the hell can you get in front of the Nashville Predators, guys? 17 games in a row, they've recorded a point. They're 15-0-2. Give me the Preds tonight.
I like it, Gabe. Big night on the ice. Only 4 NBA games as well. We'll see you tonight, Gabe. Sports Rage late night, 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the review that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
SDSU minus 7.5, and then Washington State will take on Drake in the 7-10. Wazoo a 1.5 favorite. So we got 2 close ones here in terms of the spread.
State was one of the top 30 teams in the net rankings, so I think that Drake might be a little motivated to prove that, hey, our conference should have had 2 teams in this tournament. Indiana State didn't make it, but we'll represent pretty well.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
I was going through this bracket, and I kind of lined up where I was in the futures market. I said, I have one more bullet left. Where do I go? And I played Tennessee.
$10,000 worth of Oakland gear has been sold to people with Louisville area codes. Like, this is going to sting people who are Wildcat fans because their arch rival gets to walk around and say, you lost to who?
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Okay, Joe, I have some other things now, non-league rules and changes with you from down in Orlando here over the last couple days. First, this just happened fairly recently. I guess Jerry Jones talked this morning, Cowboys owner, general manager extraordinaire, talking about Dak. So there's this conversation about Dak the last couple of months since the season ended, Joe, about, well, he's only got one more year left on his deal. Are they going to extend him? There's no money. They're not signing anybody. What's going on here? So a story came out within the hour. The Cowboys and Dak Prescott have a, quote, mutual understanding of his contract situation. We'll break this down like this, Joe. Here's the mutual understanding. They're not giving him a contract extension before next season. That's the mutual understanding, which means Dak could potentially, Joe, be a free agent to go where he wants after the 2024 season.
And I'm not so sure Cowboy fans would argue with that if he loses another playoff game, Carver. That's the biggest thing. I mean, what do we talk about the knock on Kirk Cousins, right? Has basically one marquee playoff win under his belt when he knocked off Drew Brees basically 5 years ago. Where's the marquee win for Dak Prescott? Lost to San Francisco a couple of years ago, not once but twice, right? Loses and gets abused by the Green Bay Packers. They played absolutely gutless and pathetic. And if they win, let's say, the NFC East for the first time in terms of back-to-back winners since 2004, well, then if they get into the playoffs with, let's just say, a 2 or a 3 seed and bow out in round number 1 or their first playoff game, what does that say about Dak Prescott and his resume? So, I mean, why would you give a guy $200 million and basically $50 million a year if the guy can't get a win in the playoffs?
It's true, Joe. I actually think it was the right thing to not extend him before this year because I think that there could be a change of scenery in order, a change in quarterback in order for Dallas if things end the same way they've been ending every single year there. So I think you're right about that, Joe. That's what we got a while for that. He'll have his numbers. He has them every year, right, Joe? I mean, it's not like he's not going to put up numbers. The stats are going to look pretty when you get to January. It's what happens in January that really settles the difference between him and the regular season. All right, Jim Harbaugh. Here's some of the coaches, the AFC side from yesterday morning. Jim Harbaugh, Joe, of course, now is in the NFL. He's back in the NFL with the LA Chargers. He still loves to glowingly talk about J.J. McCarthy, though, as I was just talking to Gabe about. Here he is yesterday, Joe, talking up J.J. Still, the best pro day he has ever seen from a quarterback. Here's Jim Harbaugh.
The workout J.J. had, I've been to a lot of pro day workouts and watched quarterbacks throw. That was the best I've ever seen a quarterback do at a pro day. I mean, not only was his feet great and the individual drills and
the arm was great.
But then he started throwing, and it was like every throw was, right there. I thought our receivers did a great job too. They all had a great day, but that was the best throwing day I've ever seen. And then hear coaches and GMs, come up to me and say, hey, great job with JJ.
Great job with JJ.
Like I predicted, once they were around him, I was hearing the stories about how he is on the board, how he is
the whiteboard. Get him on the whiteboard,
field,
Joe.
The little things, the intangibles. I mean, it was absolutely no surprise whatsoever.
Kid's a winner.
But, there was raving.
Raving, Joe. Raving about J.J. McCarthy. Go ahead, Joe. Your turn.
Now, first of all, what's he going to say about his starting quarterback that he won a national championship with? Then, Jim, if you asked Jim in October, he thought J.J. should have won the Heisman Trophy. I mean, forget Jaden Daniels and anybody else that put up numbers. It was J.J. Forget the 7 of 8 for 60-yard performance against Penn State. All the Michigan faithful, he was banged up. He was banged up against Maryland as well. That's why he didn't throw lights out. They always have an excuse. And I'm not suggesting that J.J. McCarthy is not worthy of a first-round talent. What I'm telling you is he's not worthy of a top 5 selection and certainly not worthy ahead of Jaden Daniels that could do it with his arm and his legs, stepped up and could just take a game over. That's not J.J. McCarthy right now. Could he be that in maybe 3, 4, 5 years? Possibly, but can we stop with, he's the best since Tom Brady, right? He's the best since, you know what? Michigan has had so many great quarterbacks in the NFL outside of Tom Brady. Chad Henne, backup, Denard Robinson, Tate Forcier. You want me to keep going? Alan Bowman that transferred. He's at Oklahoma State now. What quarterback has Jim Harbaugh seen outside of Kaepernick that he's raved about? Kavita Pritchett when he was in Stanford and he knocked off USC as a 42.5-point dog. Can we stop? Oh, I can't. And not only that, did you read the report about Jim Harbaugh? All of a sudden, he's living in an RV since he moved to California. Did you see that report as well?
No.
He's not even living in a house.
Did you get that on, was that an Instagram one for you?
Yes.
Did you get that, or was that,
Yes,
that was an Instagram one
He's
for you?
in an RV. He's not even living in a house.
Look, Joe, I can't get excited about pro days, combines, and guys throwing in shorts with no defenders in their face and no real. I don't get excited about any of that stuff. For me, as I always say to you, it's the tape. It's what he did in real games in college. This stuff is all window dressing to me. You want to know what this is, Joe? This is all smoke, these combines and these pro days. You want to know why? Because it helps do things like this. 6 weeks ago, it was Caleb Williams, Drake May is number 2, no doubt, and Jaden Daniels was number 3, no doubt, right, Joe? Combine finishes, Jaden Daniels is now number 2, no doubt about it. He's going to be number 2. Well, what do we got here? More smoke. Suddenly, J.J. McCarthy is going to be number 2, right?
Yeah.
Look at these odds, Joe. This is gone. This guy was like 30-1.
I'm not
be the
buying
second
it.
Pick 2 weeks ago. Now he's 4-1, and you know how these things go, Joe.
Yep.
Jaden Daniels still the favorite, by the way, for that 2 pick at -145.
Yeah, look, I have no problem with McCarthy over Drake May. I have a problem with McCarthy over Jaden Daniels. You know how I feel about Jaden Daniels, the ball placement, and I could go to a number of games. Alabama, Ole Miss. I mean, guys blanketed. Big-time receivers, Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, absolutely blanketed. The deep ball, the touch, the ability to just find the open seam. I mean, that's what Jaden Daniels does. And if it's not there, he'll tuck it and run and take a game over with his legs. He has that type of it factor. We saw this with Malik Willis. We saw it with Will Levis. And we saw it with C.J. Stroud. For those people that don't believe that C.J. Stroud was bashed last year, because I'm getting into it as well with people over X. Who said C.J. Stroud was bashed last year? Oh, the people that said he had a low underlick, the people that said he didn't attend the illustrious Manning camp and that he should have been, number 3 or 4 and he didn't have a high football IQ. Get real. Get real. I'm not buying it. Jaden Daniels is possibly the best quarterback in this class. And I'll take McCarthy over Drake May. Drake May does not deserve to be in the first round. I said it.
The board still says that for J.J. McCarthy, that it probably won't be the second pick, but it would be a trade-up by the Vikings, who, of course, now, Joe, own 2 first-round picks with an ability to maybe get themselves into that 4 to 8 range to be able to get him. They're minus money. But Washington now plus 350. As we said, second pick. Giants 4-1. Broncos plus 550 there for who would get McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings make sense, Carver, because what do they have? Kirk Cousins, prototypical drop-back passer. They try to go for 2 mobile quarterbacks in the draft over the past few seasons. Jaron Hall last year, it didn't work out, right? And Kellen Mond, Mr. Roboto.
Yeah,
they were mobile guys.
That's taking darts on 5th, 6th, and 7th rounders. Those are.
But what I'm saying to you is, I understand that, but they were still mobile RPO guys, right? They weren't prototypical pocket passers like potentially JJ is. He fits more of a resemblance and a semblance of Kirk Cousins than he does of Jaden Daniels. I mean, think of it that way. I mean, J.J. McCarthy is not Justin Fields / Jalen Hurts. J.J. McCarthy looks more like a young Kirk Cousins than he does both of those players. So that's maybe what the Vikings want to do, and that's potentially a good fit. I don't think he goes to New York, and I'll just say this too. You know, nobody's talking about Michael Penix. If you want a prototypical guy that could just pick apart potentially a defense, why not Michael Penix? I mean, I don't hear his name mentioned. It should be.
It should be, but he seems to be flying under the radar right now, Joe. J.J. McCarthy is the hot name. There's no question about that. You haven't heard anything about Drake May either. You know, if he gets past 3, there could be a tumble there, like you have predicted the last few years for Will Levis and for Malik Willis the year before that. So that could be there. We saw the Broncos, Joe, on that board for J.J. McCarthy. I'm sure they would like to get their hands on him. They would probably have to trade up to do so. Here is Bronco head coach Sean Payton about, yes, they would be considering moving up to get a quarterback in this draft.
I think you tune out the stuff you read. And I don't mean that. I mean, just go back. We just saw the second run on
Sean.
The draft class a few years ago.
How you feeling now?
Everyone loved all these prospects.
Complete rebuild.
And now they're all with different teams. So I think you look closely. A lot of times you'll hear someone say, hey, they can always move back and pick up one of these other players. The reality of it is, one, maybe two of these guys.
He's lost. He's lost.
He's right about that.
We'll have a chance at success, and then you get those leap years where 3 or 4 do
right
it.
About that.
I think the key is, what's the fit relative to your team?
I've been saying that to you, Joe, for a long time. You could talk about 4 or 5 quarterbacks, 6 quarterbacks. Odds are only 1, 2, maybe 3 are going to make an impact in the NFL. The rest will wash out.
Oh, you're right. And you know what? Which one fits your scheme? I think, Sean Payton does have a problem, though, because if he couldn't get it done with Russell Wilson, a veteran, right, he's in a complete rebuild. I guarantee you this is not what he sold out and signed up for in terms of Denver. He had his pick of the litter a couple of years ago. He chose Denver because he thought they were a win-now type of team because of the defense and the veteran quarterback. He opened his mouth about Nate Hackett. Now this is on Sean Payton to fix it. He doesn't get it done this year, especially get it right with the quarterback. He's out of Denver, I guarantee it. He doesn't want to put it in the work to turn around this team.
I mean, I'm sure it helped that they also offered him the most money. Like they gave him a lot of money, Joe. I mean, I'm sure that helped as well for him to go
the
there.
money helps.
A lot of money.
You're right. Yeah, but now he's got to work, Carver. He's got to work.
Great place to live. All those things probably factored in. That's what they say.
That crazy?
I haven't never lived there. But people say it's that thin air up there, Joe. Definitely a good spot to be. All right, I have a few others that I'll give to you at the top of the hour because I can't let you go without hearing from Mike Tomlin talk about Justin Fields. There's no way that I'll leave you with that. So we'll do that at the top. We'll come back. We got a little Mish clip from earlier today on Newswire. A lot more to do. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe for Scotty. We're back after this.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
SDSU minus 7.5, and then Washington State will take on Drake in the 7-10. Wazoo, 1.5 favorite. So we got two close ones here in terms of the spread.
State was one of the top 30 teams in the net rankings, so I think that Drake might be a little motivated to prove that, hey, our conference should have had two teams in this tournament. Indiana State didn't make it, but we'll represent pretty well.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I was going through this bracket, and I kind of lined up where I was in the futures market. I said, I have one more bullet left. Where do I go? And I played Tennessee.
$10,000 worth of Oakland gear has been sold to people with Louisville area codes. Like, this is going to sting people who are Wildcat fans because their arch rival gets to walk around and say, you lost to who?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smarty.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Of course, baseball starts on Thursday. Our man Craig Mish doing an outstanding job on Newswire this week, getting you ready for opening day. Today, Joe, Marlins president of baseball ops, Peter Bendix, was with him to talk about the Marlin roster heading into this year.
Your key decisions, it seems like in the offseason, was to more or less keep the guys around who have been there and add a shortstop in Tim Anderson. To me, that was the one significant signing that you brought. As you've looked at it now and you've been through spring training, does that still hold? Do you sort of still feel the same way that you did before you went into spring?
I think I do. I think, if anything, I feel maybe even a little bit better. We've had pitching injuries, which seem inevitable. Every team has their share of pitching injuries. And even with that, the 5 guys that we're going to be rolling out in the first 5 games of the season, even with 3 guys on the IL, it's a really formidable rotation. The bullpen looks like it's going to be in really good shape. It's awesome to see Sixto Sanchez and what he's been able to do this spring and how he's been able to kind of revive his career. And we'll see what happens with that. But he's throwing 98 out of the bullpen. Tanner Scott looks fantastic. Anthony Bender, back from injury, throwing absolutely insane breaking balls. It's a lot of arms, a lot of pitching, a lot of young pitching. And that's really what success is built on for any team, is young players and especially pitching. So I feel very excited and optimistic about that group. Of course, there's still question marks there. They have to go and prove it. But we have a lot of talent, especially on the pitching side.
A lot of talent.
Yeah.
I think in the lineup, honestly, the Marlins, of course, made the playoffs last year. I think they're a team that, once again, Joe, will be hanging around towards the end of the season to maybe grab one of those wild card spots in the National League. If that lineup can stay healthy and actually produce, they need the pitching to do the same as well. All right, hour number 2, Ferrall Coast to Coast. Next on the grid. We're back right after this.